Hello and welcome to Harmony in Diversity, a program that endeavours to encourage harmony and diversity across the wide range of faiths and beliefs here in Victoria, by showcasing individuals and groups involved in interfaith and multi-faith activities. In today's program, we take a look at Soul Food, a meditative audiovisual presentation put on by the Bahai Community in Melbourne each month at the State Library of Victoria. The theme for this month was No Man is an Island, and was dedicated to the Commemoration of Human Rights Day, December 10, the anniversary of the adoption by the United Nations of the Universal Declaration of Human Rights.
Well, Soul Food began about 6 years ago now in Melbourne, and a group of us decided to hold this event, and with the support of the Bahai Community in Victoria and also the Victoria Multicultural Commission in Victoria here, we were able to begin the program, and it's been growing over the last 6 years, and we've been holding it now in the State Library for about 4 years now. And I guess really the main purpose of Soul Food was to produce and provide an environment in which people of all different backgrounds, cultures, faiths can come together in a non-confronting environment, which we can reflect on inspiring themes and writings from many diverse arenas of faith and poems and stories, but most importantly touching on themes that are pertinent to humanity as a whole.
So what's the structure of Soul Food? What does it consist of?
Firstly, there's no speeches given by any individual. It's purely a fusion of inspiring writings with live and recorded music. So we have some amazing musicians that come to Victoria, and so we tap into their talents to accompany and really elevate the soul-stirring writings and spiritual writings that exist. And then in addition to that, we have visual images that accompany these writings and musical pieces.
Give us some examples of the music and the musicians you've had over the years.
We've really aimed each Soul Food to have a different type of musician. We always change the musicians, and over the last 6 years we've had just about every kind of musical instrument that we can think of. We've had Japanese music, Indian, Sikh music, we've had Middle Eastern music, obviously traditional guitar and singing, and we've also had one of the programs in which there's a dance piece which is intertwined within the writings as well. So we try and really bring together as much creativity to the writings that exist.
Tell us about the musicians that you had in today's Soul Food.
Both Helen and Tom, they had recently come together, and from my understanding, they hadn't really performed together all that much, but because of this program, they decided they were connected up, and what we did was tell them about the theme that's happening, and obviously they decided to put together musical pieces that relate to the theme.
Your soul, it is old, your time is so. Your ways, they are gold, your stories seldom told. So walk on and see
As a musician, do you consider that you express your faith and connection with other people through your music?
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, anything you create is coming from the inside, and you know, the way you are inside is influencing everything you create. So I mean, it's I just don't think it's so much of a conscious thing with me. It just having the, you know, being taught and having the knowledge of these realities of unity in this world is, yeah, it's quite a strong idea. It's a strong belief to have, and absolutely it's a source of a lot of inspiration. Like as a musician, I feel quite blessed to have it feels like such a vast pool of sort of creativity surrounding me, as everyone does. And
does the Bahai tradition have a strong tradition of supporting artists and musicians?
very strong, yes. The sciences and the arts are looked upon greatly, with great favour within the Bahai community, and there's a very strong aspect to all communities, local communities.
What does your faith mean to you as a Bahai, and how does this relate to how you interact with people of other faiths?
Well, I suppose being brought up as a Bahai, you're exposed to the unity of the human family at an early age. You're exposed to a large diversity of cultures and backgrounds, and you experience them interacting in a very harmonious way. So that, I think, is a very strong foundation for, personally, has been a strong foundation for me. And yeah, it's something, as a Bahai, you're trying to translate the writings of the prophet of the Bahai Faith, Baha'u'llah, into your life and into action. So there's very strong emphasis put on deeds rather than words. So yeah, as a Bahai, it's a process of trying to integrate those teachings into your life, and how it influences the way I interact with people of other faiths. I think it influences the way I interact with everybody rather than just other faiths. I mean, yeah, I mean, quotes like that from Baha'u'llah, you know, let your heart burn with loving kindness for everyone who crosses your path. So it's a very strong idea to try and translate into your life, and it's something that you know, that you aim to try and pervade all your interactions with humanity.
Give us a brief outline of the main points of your faith as you understand them.
Well, the Bahai Faith is a very young religion. It's just a bit over 165 years old, and the teachings and the message of Baha'u'llah have been brought to humanity to progress humanity on this spiritual journey that we're taking. One of the central themes of the Bahai Faith is unity, and all the principles of the Bahai Faith rotate around the concept of unity. Baha'u'llah, Baha'is believe, is a new messenger and has followed many great teachers of the past, such as Buddha and Muhammad and Moses and Christ, and although there is a direct connection between all of these teachers and messengers of God, each religion has brought new teachings as humanity has adapted and changed to be relevant for society, and ultimately to progress humanity to its ultimate goal, in which all religions are aiming, and that is the unity and peace of the world. And that is a strong tie that obviously exists within all the religions of the world to have this concept of peace. And I think everyone recognizes that.
Can you just elaborate a bit more on the history of the Bahai Faith?
The Bahai Faith began really in 1844, and it began in Persia, what we know now as being Iran, and it's a really amazing story of Baha'u'llah, who brought these new principles and teachings to the world, and was exiled from one place to the next in his journey to share this message with humanity. And his journey took him throughout Persia, and finally he ended up in Israel. He was exiled to Israel, and that's where we find the Bahai World Center in Haifa, in Mount Carmel, and the shrine of Baha'u'llah rests in Israel.
The Bahai Faith sees itself as being one in a series of religions, and I guess the primary principle is that religious truth is not, fixed and static, but it's relative. And I think I find that helps me a lot in my understanding of religion in general, is that these religions aren't isolated and completely different, but they really kind of build on each other. So Baha'u'llah tells us that that they're progressive. So Moses came, and then Jesus came and built on his teachings, and Muhammad came and developed teachings, and now Baha'u'llah has come with teachings which have the same spiritual truths at the heart of them, but with practical applications for today's society and into the future as well.
Why do you think it's important to have contact and dialogue with people of other faiths?
I think it's vital to have contact and dialogue with people of other faiths or other cultures of diverse backgrounds, because ultimately, as Baha'is, we see humanity as one, and we see the source of all inspiration as being from one source, be it whatever name that we may call this source, this unknowable source that we have. And we all strive for betterment of humanity. So it's important to interact with diverse faiths, to not only interact but investigate what other faiths have and what they offer to the world and what they have offered to humanity.
My faith means really everything to me. I think it's been the one single driving power that's centered me. It gives me orientation in life, and it makes sense of who I am and where I stand in relation to my environment, to the people that I am related to my friends, to my work colleagues, even to nature. So it tells me where I am in existence, my relation to the rest of the universe. And it gives me a sense of purpose, and therefore it enables me to deal with people that I deal with on a day-to-day basis in that context. So it's been really the one force that has given direction to me in life.
Why do you think it's important to have contact and dialogue with people of other faiths?
Because I think the paths to truth are many, and we all have our own valid message. Essentially, we are all about the same journey. The destination is the same, but the journey is different. And I think it's important to have that dialogue, to have an appreciation of this fact that we are no different to each other. We look at the light of truth through different colored lenses, but the light is still the same. And if we share our views, then we realize that the differences arise from our point of view and not from the fact that reality is many. So it brings us together, and it unites us, and it makes us feel as part of one family.
I think it's important, definitely, to be able to relate to people of other religions and talk to them, to be able to get to the heart of what it is that they believe, because I really think that we have a lot in common. It's not as different as we see, and sometimes it's just our ignorance that makes us think that another religion is so different from our own, and we just need to open up and talk sometimes, and really talk honestly and without fear of being converted to someone else's religion or having our own beliefs weakened somehow, but being open and honest enough to speak about what we think and listen to what other people think with an open heart and mind to what they're saying. And I think we have to be ready to realize that maybe we don't have all the answers, because our own finite minds are obviously not going to be capable of understanding everything that a religion brings from God. You know, it's obviously going to be so far above our understanding. So, you know, the amount that we comprehend it and our own take on it is got to be limited. So I think we just have to talk to each other and learn and develop, and we can see what's unique in all religions and what's common. My involvement in soul food has been as a reader and a participant in the audience as well. And I love soul food just because I think that often we don't have time in today's society to really take time for ourselves. And, you know, Baha'u'llah teaches us that our true reality, in fact, is a spiritual one. You know, often, you know, we think of our soul as being something that, you know, we only really take care of after we die. You know, our soul, you know, progresses to the next world. But, you know, the Baha'i teachings really tell us that our true existence is that of the soul, and that begins in this world, and it's not something that we're just taking along for the ride, but, you know, our interaction in this world is a spiritual one. And it's a tough one in today's society, because we're being bombarded with messages from everywhere that, you know, that we're in a material civilization and that this is all there is. So anything which can help us to nurture our spiritual side, you know, reading inspirational material, listening to music, the arts, the theatre, everything that kind of makes our heart sing, I think is appealing to our spiritual nature, and that need to cling on to something which is higher and out of this world. So, you know, I try and do that in my daily life. I try and, you know, pray and read writings which can give wings to my spirit somehow. But, you know, to be honest, it's really hard. You know, you're busy with work in this world, and it's nice that the Bahai community in Melbourne has taken the time to develop this program, which allows you to walk in, sit here for an hour, and just have your heart and soul lifted up and refreshed and strengthened in that way which only the music and the messages and the thoughts of the prophets of God and those who have been influenced by their spiritual, you know, power and the spiritual springtime that's come with them.
Deborah, what does your faith mean to you, and how does this relate to how you interact with people of other faiths?
Well, my faith is a Christian faith. I was raised a Catholic, and I've always just lived a life that's... I've always sought to be caring and understanding and compassionate. It's just, I try to be loving, understanding. I think that's what faith is about.
Now, you've been coming along to the Bahai Community's soul food event several times. How have you found it, and what have you taken away from it?
I started coming about 2 years ago because I felt that there was something missing in my life, something spiritual, and someone recommended this to me, and I've basically come every month for the last 2 years, because for me it's a very uplifting experience. It's very, it's joyful, it's spiritually uplifting. It's, we're all here for the same message. They're very The messages here are they're from all different faiths for a start. And you begin to realise that all the different faiths actually preach very much the same messages. The musicians that we have are of an excellent standard. They're different every month. They can be very uplifting. The readings here I find they can be very moving. I've been moved to tears when I've come here. And I find here what I don't find out in the real world quite often, because it's just this intense 1 hour of this audio-visual presentation of very wonderful readings from faiths, all different faiths, from philosophers, poets, anecdotes from various authors, and also Indigenous cultures. And it makes you realise that Indigenous cultures have been, well, we teach now in our faiths what Indigenous cultures were teaching all along. So humanity really is the same, and it always has been.
Why do you think it's important to have contact and dialogue with people of other faiths?
Well, I basically believe that there is one God, and good people from all faiths basically live life the same way, but they have different cultures, and it's always very rewarding to be a part of different experiences in cultures that I might not have been exposed to in my life. And there are loving people everywhere, and giving people, respecting people everywhere, and yes, it's just wonderful meeting new people. For me, it's just a wonderful experience to meet new people.
What do you think are the underlying commonalities behind faiths?
Well, I think the biggest commonality of all faiths is that they've come from the same source, that it's the one true God, that in the Bahai Faith we believe is unknowable in its essence, that has created us all and given us the same message. So it's that the uniqueness of the oneness of the source, the oneness of the message, and the oneness of the recipients, which are the human beings, albeit from different walks of life and different cultures, different races. Essentially it's that oneness that runs through all themes of life.
I think the underlying commonalities of all faiths are this, like I mentioned before, this concept that that we are here to serve humanity, and that there is an unknowable essence or creator which is greater than us, that we each have an inner longing to commune with our creator, and we have a soul or a spiritual nature to us. And these are concepts that are common to all faiths, that we have all these hidden gems that we need to polish and to bring to this world and reveal them to this world.
That's all for our program today. For more information, and if you want to see this episode again, visit our website, harmonyindiversity.net. Until next week, bye for now.
Shanti Om.